Okay. Where's your limited edition Baldur's Gate 3 box set with Illithid waifu statue? No, not there yet. Okay. I don't have one. I don't have one either. I don't have one either. All right. So we're live and it's Friday. We're gonna do a vodcast. Hold on, I gotta turn my lights on. All right, so we got lights. We got lights. We got stream. We got something to talk about. We're gonna talk about verticality in tabletop RPG. This came up because we've been playing a lot, an unhealthy amount perhaps, of Baldur's Gate 3 multiplayer, and some people are playing single player. I don't know. You know, maybe you and I are playing single player. Maybe you're in like 6 other groups. Oh wait, I don't know. Some people are. Anyways, we're playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3. One of the things that I like about it is how short all of the ranges are, because I'm a 4th edition fan. I like Pathfinder 2e. I like short range. It forces people onto smaller maps, into closer confrontations. I dig it. Baldur's Gate 3 did that, but you could get around that by getting high up. If you get someplace high, you increase your range significantly, and your accuracy. Does it also improve your damage? I don't know.
No.
But it does increase your accuracy, and it does increase your range, which is pretty cool. You can also throw things from up high onto people, and that has better range. And I believe that actually does a little bit more damage, depending on how heavy the thing is that you throw. And you can throw people from up high. Strength monk build meta, right? You can throw people from up high onto other people, and based on how heavy those people are and how far they fall, they do more damage. And then you've got owlbear air bombing, where, you know, this big, huge owlbear loaded down with equipment jumps through the air and smashes, you know, everything it lands underneath. So I got Baldur's Gate booted up, and here I am, and I'm up in this like building or some shit, and there's some gerblins all the way down there. Now this is the map where Lars got super upset because there's goblins on all the roofs, and he was on like this roof over here on the left, and he was trying to shoot with his longbow goblins on this roof on the right, and he and the goblins couldn't shoot each other because the range on the bows was not enough to go across the street. And he still talks about how mad he was about that hours and hours and hours and hours later. And that's fair. That's fair. It's pretty short range. But up here from my sniper perch, I could bust out like a real nasty attack. And right now you can see it's blocked. But if I go outside,
never wanted the easy path,
and I stand on this, you know, on the edge of the roof here, I'm still so high up compared to everybody else. And if I go to target, look at how huge the circle is of stuff that I can hit, because it gets bigger, bigger, bigger the higher up I go. And then these guys have pretty decent AC for low-level monsters, but my accuracy is improved because I am higher up when I go to shoot them.
If you mouse over it and it tells you if you have advantage and stuff like that, it's up there in the top. It says high ground.
High ground as a bonus. So I think that's super duper cool. It encourages us when we're playing the game to explore these height elevations. It is incredibly exciting to go up and down the on all the different stuff they have. Every map, every area of the world takes verticality into account, and why shouldn't it? It's a 3D video game. It's the perfect environment for this. It's a perfect environment for this. I was thinking about this all week because we're going to talk about it on Friday. This is not the first game to do this. All right, so I'm going to close out of Baldur's Gate because I want to talk about the first game that I ever played that did this, and that game is Final Fantasy Tactics. All right. So I don't know if you played Final Fantasy Tactics, Dom,
I have.
but
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Yes.
Okay. Thank goodness. All right. I was gonna say, cause I played through Dragon's Dogma for you, so I mean, I feel like tit for tat. You know what I'm saying? If you hadn't
my
played,
my best friend in since like high school. That is his favorite game of all time.
Yeah, this is my favorite game of all time. So this level right here, the waterfall. This is a hard ass fight. You see that waterfall? It goes across there's a bridge. It goes across. Holy shit, am I right? Those rocks next to the waterfall on either side, you can climb those rocks. Now, you're looking way back in time. Over 20-something years back in time here. Like 25 years at this point. But listen to me when I tell you. This was intense, okay? This was a 3D game, and you could have different height. Do you see that 3.5H? That's how fucking high you were. It would tell you what your height was in the game. And your height in the game would factor into your range on your attacks. And ranged attackers would have better accuracy and better range if they were higher up. And so you would always want your archers and your ranged attackers to have abilities that allowed them to climb and jump and even teleport to high ground. So one, they couldn't be engaged in melee, and two, they could attack from a distance. And it was kind of rare to have overhangs like that bridge where you could be underneath it and on top of it at the same time. But they did a really good job, I felt, in this game of making that 3D terrain in a turn-based, grid-based game matter. And for me, at least, outside of Dungeons & Dragons, this was the first time this ever really made a difference, and it was ever really possible. And so I was really, really excited as I was thinking back. I was like, part of what I really enjoy about Baldur's Gate 3 is it has those same sort of vibes, like those tactical vibes, those decisions of like, where do I stand? Where do I go? Where do I move? Where do I place down effects? Where do my allies go? And that verticality is a huge part of what makes the game, in my opinion, so interesting and so immersive compared to every other top-down RPG. I don't know what's the genre called for this?
CRPG.
CRPG. Okay, so I think that the verticality is really what's kind of boosting that to that kind of next level there. So that's what I want to do. I wanted to go 25 years back in time and be like, everything you're excited about, Dom, it happened 25 years ago. So that's where I want to start. I'm representing all the old people right now. I'm going to say everything that you thought was cool was already cool 25 years ago. But it's still cool after 25 years.
Yeah.
It's actually cooler than ever. So we're going to look at some examples today of, in your tabletop RPG life, how do you make this happen? How do you get verticality in your life? So let me close down the Baldur's Gate in the background here.
I guess before we move forward, like what made this verticality so cool, though, is, and I think the big thing is that it was actually useful.
Yes, exactly. There's no point to climb the things if you could just hit people from below. Oh, also, in Final Fantasy Tactics, there were moves where you could shove people, and you could shove them off of cliffs, and you could shove them off of like rooftops, and they would fall, and they would take fall damage, or they would fall and just die instantly. And so the parallels are just so extreme. But again, what would be the point of building verticality into the map if there were no benefits to it?
Yep.
Okay, so that is the big question then. What is the benefits? Well, we know for a fact the core benefit of verticality is I'm a squishy ranged healer or ranged attacker, and I don't want to get hit. Like, you take some kids and you have them play Dungeons and Dragons, and the first time there's a scary monster, they're going to try to climb a tree. That's like human instinct. Like, they're going to be like, can I climb this tree? And it's like, yeah. So they climb the tree because they want to get away from the monster that's trying to kill them. So at its core, built in, there is a default bonus for verticality, and that is avoidance. Is avoidance enough of an incentive to make people use verticality?
I mean, for range, yeah, I think so. Because
Right.
you'll see that with range characters. They'll go and, can I climb this tree? Can I get on this ledge over here? And then they'll get on the ledge, shoot, and then get off the ledge to go behind it or something like that. So like climb it, like vertical. At least the terrain for range attackers, I think that it's already that avoidance is enough. Depending on if your game makes it so that getting hit is such a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for everybody else, I'm not sure.
Yeah. For melee, in 5e, there are mechanics to shove people. There are mechanics, technically, if we're being honest, there are mechanics for throwing people. It's not like an official maneuver in 5e, but if you are grappling someone, I mean, you can use them as an improvised weapon if they're within your weight limit. So, I mean, improvised thrown weapon with a person, it was always there. It was baked into the rules. So you could pick somebody up and throw them off of a cliff, off of a house. So there are these things already built in. Do we need more incentive? I guess is the question, right? I in Baldur's Gate, in Final Fantasy Tactics, in Pathfinder 2, range is deliberately crippled, right? They make it very short, and it's just not as good as melee, right? But if you get higher up, not in Pathfinder 2, but in Tactics and in Baldur's Gate, you get better accuracy, you get better range.
And you get avoidance.
And you get the avoidance that you needed in the first place. I don't think that D&D 5e needs to reward ranged attackers any more than it already does. They can already move out of cover, take a shot, move back into full cover. If they're far enough away from people, they can drop prone, which Baldur's Gate 3 got rid of. You can drop prone to force disadvantage on attacks against you after you've taken the shot if you don't have any cover. It's already incredible. Verticality is already an incredibly rewarding thing for ranged attackers.
For range.
Yeah, in 5e. So I did think about that this week, and I just don't really see that. I don't think 5e needs to reward that. I mean, Longbow already has 600 range. You know what I'm saying? Like, Eldritch Blast, 120 feet before modifications. Firebolt's 120 feet, right? Or 60? Something like that. Yeah, like, yeah, it's crazy. So, does that stuff really need to be in there? I don't think so. Now, Ninzard points out, circumstance bonus to attacks for projectiles could be worked into Pathfinder 2. I think that could be very rewarding. Yeah. I think increased range and I think increased damage, or not damage, but increased range and increased accuracy for height. I think that could be very, very good in Pathfinder 2.
An easy way to do it too is that whatever the distance is between you and the target, that's how much extra range you got. The height difference. So that's an easy calculation. Like, oh, I'm 30 feet up in the air. Okay, I have an extra 30 feet of range.
Yeah, fair enough. What about Cyberpunk? Does Cyberpunk have anything baked into the system to reward verticality?
So, with the way range attacks work in this game, it all depends on distance. And each weapon has a sweet spot of the distance you want to be. So if I'm using an assault rifle and I'm up close, I actually have a harder chance of hitting somebody than if I was further away. And so you want to get into your sweet spot in Cyberpunk when you're taking a range.
There's short, mid, and long range weapons, right?
Weapons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And each of them have their and you're not rolling against that person's armor class or anything like that in Cyberpunk, you're rolling against a difficulty value depending on the weapon you're using and how far away you are from your target. So that even when you're attacking something inanimate that doesn't move, you still have to hit. You still have to beat the difficulty value for how far you are based off of the weapon you're using. And each weapon has that sweet spot where you want to be for that weapon. Like a pistol, you want to be within 3 spaces from them. It's more of a and there's no downside of being like right up on somebody with a pistol.
Right.
Actually, it's really good to be right up on somebody with a pistol. But if you're too far away, then that's an issue. If I'm using an assault rifle, I want to be like at least like maybe 10, 12 spaces away from them to be, reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And so verticality can help with that because it also counts the height difference you are from them too. So being up high and shooting down, if that distance is there, that will help you get to your sweet spot. Another big thing about Cyberpunk is cover is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in cover, you just can't be shot. You have to shoot the cover to get them out, or you have to get around the cover.
And if you are thinking in 3 dimensions, having verticality is also having cover.
Mm-hmm.
You see these little guys running around on their waterfall map or whatever. If I'm right up against the edge of the cliff and the guy is all the way above me at the top of the cliff, he probably has 3/4 cover from me, if we're being honest. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I could probably only see just a little bit of that guy, and I'm shooting straight up to hit him.
Honestly, he could just lean back.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't see him at all.
Yeah, so I think that's another thing that is easy to see in a 3D environment. It's a lot harder to see in your mind's eye, right? Because we play with top-down maps, so you can't really see that. But I wanted to show some of the things that we do in VTT to simulate this, and why it can be a little confusing. So I've got, back last year for Extra Life, we did the Divinity game. And so, Divinity cares a lot about verticality. It was the first time I was really building maps with verticality in mind, because I actually had a house rule that you got bonuses to, I think, hit and damage and range if you were higher up than everybody else. I'd have to check my notes, but using that script that you found, that set elevation script, I had a map here, and you can see that I went a little overboard, right? Creating a map where you could seamlessly climb the map. So we got Mastery here on the beach, and Mastery is at height 0, but they start moving up the beach, and then their height begins to change as they climb higher and higher up the hill. So now they're 10 feet higher than the beach was at. And if they keep moving, they could jump down, and the height goes down a bit, and then they run over. Over on this side, there was like some, rocky outcroppings here. If they try to run up, they can't. They can't climb here. They have to actually go around. And so they could climb up this log, use the log to leap onto the rock, and then from the rock they could climb up and around. This is just me moving with the arrow keys on my keyboard. And then they jumped off the rock, they fell down, they'd have to go back up. So you could build a map that has verticality built into it, but it's hard, right? When you're looking straight down at it like that, it's still visually hard to be like, okay, you're higher than me because you're up here on this rock and I'm down here on the ground. You know what I'm saying? It is tricky, in my opinion, to kind of track that. Now, by having these set elevation macros, we are automatically changing the height, and then players can be trained to look and say, oh, actually they're 15 feet higher than me. Damn, okay. That's going to be a lot harder for me to get there and hit them, right? Even if Macy Goldfriend wanted to melee, she's not going to be able to run up and melee from the ground. She'd have to go all the way around and climb up and run up and get to her. Maybe she wants to take a shot, but Mastery's 15 feet up on a rocky overhang. So there's going to be some cover there from the rocky overhang, blocking it. Now, something that this map can't capture is, this is a flat map. So it's not using levels. This is just a flat map that is using regions that have set elevation scripts. Yeah. If you were playing with levels, which is a mod by Ripper, you could designate different maps with alpha layers layered on top of each other, and depending on where you move and what height you are at, it will change what you can interact with. So I'm going to take these guys, and I'm going to take them over to a map that has levels, and then you also have a cyberpunk map with levels that we're going to look at as well. So I'm going to take everybody over to this tavern map by Bailey who's, just a mad scientist when it comes to this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and paste these folks in. And as they are walking around, you can see that there's some rafters there in the ceiling, right? These kind of shadowy bits right here, those are rafters in the ceiling. And Mastery is underneath the rafters, so we can't see them anymore. Oh, there they are again, right? So Mastery is going to head up these stairs over here. And as they do, they automatically go up 10 feet, and now they're on a different floor. Well, that's pretty cool. So now they're kind of looking down at the floor below. And as they are exploring, they might say, I'm going to go out over the floor below and try to get onto the rafters here. And now they're climbing around on the rafters. Look at that shit. There's a shadow. They're 20 feet up. So I put Macy Goldfriend down here on the ground floor. She sees him as 20 feet up. He sees her as down below the rafters. Over here, you've got Test Dummy. He's up on the second floor. He's looking down from this balcony at these people over here. He sees Mastery 10 feet above him. He sees Macy 10 feet below him. But do you know what he doesn't see? He doesn't see the other Test Dummy, who is literally beneath his feet on the first floor in this little alcove, having some hot chocolate by the fire. And Crash Test Dummy, when he looks around, he can see Macy over here, but he can't see the guy up in the rafters, and he can't see the guy directly above him. Fucking mind-blowing! Like, there's that verticality that you're looking for. Like, a single fucking map, and it's all covered. It's all there. And, I mean, hashtag not sponsored, but for only $8 a month, you could get all of these maps that Bailey Wiki has made and import them into your own games and have all that 3D verticality, all that verticality taken care of already. So, I mean, ain't a bad price, $8 a month. To get, like, if you really are interested in having verticality in your game. Now, I'm going to hop into your server.
Yep.
And I'm going to look at what you've got going on. So, hopefully, not a lot of spoilers here. Let's see. Alright. Closing this out. Alright, walk me through it. What are we looking at? Oh, I got rid of Dom somehow. Hold on. Ah, there we go. Alright, walk me through it, Dom.
All right, hold on. Let me take you over to the map and activate it. All right. Are you on it?
I have no token with vision.
You should have vision with this token. Okay, 1 second.
If you
owner, everybody's owner, and the token should have vision. Does have vision. Here, okay, I'll just make you owner. Where's Crash? Owner. Let me drag a new one out.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, I can see. I can see now.
Okay. All right, I had to drag another one out. Okay, so the way this works, same, levels. This is a warehouse, and there's a bunch of cargo containers. Some of the cargo containers have more than one stacked on top of each other.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
So this thing, the way this works, I haven't set it up with the automatic climbing on top of stuff because in Cyberpunk, when you want to climb on top of something, you're gonna have to do a check to do it, and
Right.
so I would change it manually there. It doesn't really work with your movement. But let me unpause. So yeah, you can maybe move you around a little bit. So yeah, you can't because of this is a warehouse that's full of like cargo containers. You can't really see around them. It's like almost like a little small maze.
Yeah.
You have to go around here. But I don't know if it sees it. I have to look at your screen because I can see everything on the GM screen. But
No, it's it's working. I can see you used terrain walls for your crates.
Yeah. And so if I come around here, you can kind of see that there is a little ladder right there.
Okay. Yeah. I see the ladder.
So
okay.
if you move next to the ladder, you can go ahead and move it.
Oh,
so
sure.
It pops up for you.
Hey, there you go. And I can walk up to the catwalk.
Yeah.
Nice.
So now that you're on the catwalk, you can kind of see the tops of all the containers that are around here. But this container had two containers on top of each other, so you can't see past this one.
Wow. And you built this map, right?
Yeah.
Did you make
not the whole map?
You didn't make the map, but you're the one that set it up for levels.
Levels, yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Wow. Okay.
So this is a map from Misaki Maps, and the containers are also assets that he has made too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And
some of the ideas about this, and maybe I'll throw out some random NPCs here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Let me see here. So say like in this warehouse there was like a rooftop, a turret that came down from the roof.
Yeah.
So let me just go grab a turret real quick. Where's my there they are. Fences. Turret. I grab this turret. And we're going to say it is... let me open up my levels. 9. Okay. It's going to be at 8.
I see the turret. Okay.
All right. So if I had to turn here, say it's like, in the middle of the room, on the roof, came down from the roof, and it's there now. While you're walking around, you can, if it's there, you can see it, but like... let me go ahead and take you back down to the lower level. Back to ground floor. You can still see it. When you come around the corner, you can't see it, but...
Right. It can see us still?
Well, no, because this one has two things on top of it.
Nice.
If you went around to this one over here, it can still see you, and you can still see it.
Do you also have built into the verticality, the layers here, that you could go inside the crates?
So I didn't set them up. They're closed. I didn't set them up to be. You can walk inside. But yeah, you could do that. You could do that. You can make them be overhead tiles, and that the way it works is that you can step inside them.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yep. Going a little bit forward here.
Now, how much more work do you feel setting up verticality on a map is? Like, is it viable? Is it viable for a DM to do it for every fight?
Well, it depends on if the map, like if it warrants the fight or warrants the encounter. Like you have to, what the encounter is going to be, right?
Well, therein adds to the question: should you be designing encounters to take into account verticality?
I mean, yeah, if you want to.
Right.
I guess the way that I would say it is that if it's going to add to your if it's going to add to your encounter and the amount of time you can prep, sure. But like we're all people here. I mean, like you're gonna have to prep. What are you gonna prep?
But like, what's cooler, right? Yet another forest map, and I'm calling me and Benio's maps out here with Curse of Strahd, right? Another road in the forest, or a road in the forest and an ancient tree has fallen down across the road, and you can go underneath the tree. Even that, right? That's one element that you can be on top of or below, adds more to that scene. It adds more to that encounter.
But I guess I would say is that do you need to do the VTT work of setting that up so you go under and over, or could you have the tree on the map and you just say,
And you
okay,
just
I'm
say
under
like
it or I'm
theater,
above,
yeah, you just
I'm
say
above
theater
it.
of the mind, right? You just say,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you still have the map, you still have the distances. You guys can do the work of
yeah.
having you above and below. Do you need to put in the effort for that specific encounter because that one tree? That's a question you have to ask for yourself. But
Yeah.
in this case, there's a like whatever the way the encounter works for this one. I felt that I needed to have the containers up here because sight lines are going to be important.
Yeah, because they're looking around. It's a
And
labyrinth,
also,
but it's also cyberpunk.
yes,
Yeah.
and also, maybe they might do stealth stuff. Having all this stuff to hide behind is also good too.
Yeah.
So that's where all this verticality and things that maybe I need to climb up on top of this and peer down on the other side and then go back around to this. Things you can do. So for like a dungeon, maybe the dungeon, like how you have a 5-room dungeon, maybe it's a 5-floor dungeon, and those floors are open to each other. Then you're still doing the same work of doing 5 different maps, but you actually save some of your time because maybe a lot of the walls you can just copy over or extend up higher. You don't have to worry about redrawing the walls 5 different times. You maybe only have one thing. You only have to do 1 bounding box.
Fair.
For 2 maps. I mean, it really depends on what the encounter is and what you're trying to get out of that encounter.
So we've both dug into Pathfinder 2 official Foundry product, right? One of the things that really won me over is, one, I love incarnate masks. I think they look great. So the aesthetics was like, I like it. A lot of people might be like, they just used incarnate. No, it looks great. But what I like about it is that they use a background map and a foreground map with alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And it adds so much. It adds so much depth to the map because there's things above your character's head. So it feels just a little bit more immersive to have that second foreground layer. Benio's Maps does the same thing. You guys don't notice as much outdoors, but inside buildings and stuff, he has a foreground layer that is the walls. It's like, and so the walls actually lay down over the top of the background map, so that when you are hugging a wall, you actually disappear a little bit into the wall because the wall does not get covered up by your miniature. And I really like that. And it is an extra step. You're taking that extra step. My brain, when I was giving you the example of the tree that had fallen down over the road, it's like, well, you wouldn't really need levels because you could just have a foreground layer that has the tree over the road. But that's not the same as using levels because you can never be on top of the foreground layer. You can never be on top of the foreground layer.
Well, actually,
can you?
You can. Yeah. So when you make your map, at least in Foundry, and this is base Foundry, not even with levels.
Okay.
When you make your map, you can set what your elevation is for foreground. For background, you can set what your elevation is for foreground. And then when you make a foreground, when you put down the foreground map, if you change your elevation to above that foreground height, it will put you over the foreground.
So, right here, foreground elevation, background elevation. So, if you're only dealing with two levels, you don't actually need the levels mod.
Yes, you don't.
So,
now,
you just decide, in this town, I'm going to have roofs as a separate layer. I'm going to put the roofs over everything else, but I want people to be able to climb on the roofs. You just say all of the roofs are going to be 20 feet high. So, if you are 20 feet up, you will also be on top of the roofs.
Yep.
Beautiful. I really like that.
So what levels allows you to do is do different levels in that thing. This is one or one or the other. You're either above or below.
So
or you're either on the ground floor, under the ground, under you're either
underground,
under the background or above the foreground.
And layers allows you to use tiles. And not just a map that is the same size as the other map with alpha. So it's also going to help you with resources as well. Because if you're stacking over and over and over again, these huge maps with alpha layers and everything else, it is going to add up after a while. Whereas the smaller assets can be set as their own layers and levels within, which is very, very cool. All right. I like that. I like that a lot. You said you had 2 maps you wanted to show off? Or...
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm taking you to the other one now.
All right, cool.
Let me drag you out on this one.
Ooh, okay.
So,
Little
nightclub.
dance club. So there's got to be a balcony
Yeah.
that looks down at the dance floor. Got to have the balcony looking down at the dance floor.
So you come over here. This is a map by Frag Maps. It's really nice. He does a lot of perspective ones, so it's a little bit easier to see the 3D. But like you see, over here there's some stairs. So you come over here.
Love it. Okay.
Walk up the stairs. Walk up back here. And you're up top.
So did you do this with? You did this one with levels also,
Levels
right?
as well.
Okay.
Yeah, this is also levels as well.
And that's triggered by. Is that triggered by like drawings on the DM level that said
yes.
when you walk here, similar to the set elevation macro that we were using last year?
So with levels, when you're building with levels, they have a button that says every single drawing you draw will be a stair that takes you to the next level on the level you're drawing. So if I'm on the ground level and I draw a rectangle, it just automatically makes that rectangle send me up to the level above the level I'm working on right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep. You can also set up an elevator, which is what the catwalk was. The one where you walk next to the ladder, and you can pick if you want to move up or not.
I love it.
So, yeah.
I love it.
So now we have
So now, if there was, can you spawn some goons down here and have them duck underneath the balcony and then run back out? And then as a player, I won't be able to see them when they duck underneath the balcony.
Yep. All right. We do some random gang. So we'll do a scarecrow.
Okay. So I see Scarecrow. I start opening fire on Scarecrow. Pew, 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 I'm shooting at him. But he runs under the thing. Now I can't fucking see him.
Yep.
But then I jumped off the edge. That's pretty cool. But then I'm back up here. And then I see him. And then, yeah. See, this stuff, I feel, even if you're just doing the core Foundry, you're not even using levels, and you just have the 2 different maps overlaying each other, it's such an get ready for what I'm about to say. It's such an elevation of your experience and your gameplay, right? Because you add that verticality, even if it's just a second height, just one more height. You don't have to go crazy like Bailiwiki with like all these different interacting heights up and down and all over the place. But I mean, you could. But like, I can't imagine the amount of prep time it would be to really build some of these very, very intricate, like maps.
It really, honestly, if the map is actually really flat, it's actually pretty easy because you're just pretty much prepping 2 maps. And with some of the walls overlapping, so you don't really have to draw all the walls.
Yeah.
But when you have maps like this, where it's like really in perspective, and you're trying to do 2 levels, it's really hard to like get the walls right, so you can kind of see the perspective, but also still have stuff block line of sight like it's supposed to. I think that's my biggest gripe is when I do multiple levels like with a map like this. It's harder. It takes a little bit more time.
Right.
But I think it's also it does add to the experience, especially when when my players first walk into this, they're gonna be like, oh man, it like says, okay, what's up there?
Yep.
Like, can I get up there? Like you get those questions. Which is what you want, right?
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you do it in real life? I'm prepared to answer that question. And I don't have any Dwarven Forge on me, and I'm not going to pivot my camera around to show you Dwarven Forge or whatever. But we got the next best thing, and that's Digital Dwarven Forge. So let me go ahead and open up Tailspire real quick. And let's see. So I'm going to boot up Tailspire real quick. Now, Tailspire is still in beta, alpha, early access. Like, I don't know if it'll ever not be in beta, alpha, early access, but I was impressed, about a year and a half ago when I checked it out. And I'm still impressed now. So I'm going to go ahead and load the world of beta testerine. There we go. And if you don't know about Tailspire, Tailspire is over on Steam, and it is essentially Dwarven Forge on your computer, which is pretty cool. Alright, so this is the map I built a while ago. You can see that verticality comes very easy, right? I know this guy is higher than this guy, because he's literally up on this thing. There's a building over here. Dude runs up, moves across. There's a gate here. Inside, let's see, can I get the gate to open? There we go. The portcullis opens. Hey, just like real Dwarven Forge. And then he moves inside. And then you can see inside, there's some treasure underneath. And then when I move my mini underneath, it picks up the Dwarven Forge tiles, so I can see my fucking guy. But you'll also notice that while my guy is selected, I can't see what's above me anymore. That's kind of immersive. Kind of into that shit. So then when I move back out, hey, I can see those skeletons up there, and they have the high ground. And then I got these stairs here that I would have to climb to get up to the skeletons to fight them. So, pretty neat. If you needed to simulate flying, they have that now. So you could right-click on your mini, enable flying, and then I believe flying works the same way that it does in... man, what is the hotkey for flying? There we go. You hold down Control and mouse wheel, and you can actually raise yourself up and down, and you get an adorable plastic stick coming out of your butthole. Why do you get a little plastic? Why do you have a little plastic stick coming out of your butthole? I am so glad you asked, because in real life, when we want to keep track of flying and we have a lot of money to spend on D&D stuff, we use, come on, let's see, let me open this up. My computer's so sad about all the different windows I have open.
Oh, flying
Yeah.
miniature.
See, look at that. Flying miniature stands. Yep, this is a real product that we use for IRL D&D to keep track of the height of your minis. So that is another way to track verticality in your IRL games. And I thought it was really cute that they could have made the minis literally float there, because it's a video game, it's 3D space, but they do have the little plastic stick that is holding it up in the air to simulate that you're playing with real miniatures and stuff. I thought that was really, really cool. So, yeah. I'll be honest, man, I really enjoy the look and the feel of Tailspire, but it is very tedious to build these maps. Like, very tedious. I did find a community, though, where you can download scenes that other people have already made, which is pretty cool. I can't remember even how to change modes. Like,
For the most part, I like what I've noticed is there's actually a Cyberpunk
yeah,
DM.
they actually have
they
have a Cyberpunk set now.
Yeah, and he does all his stuff in Tailspire. And for the most part, what I've noticed is that it's a lot of it is theater of the mind, and then you have your set piece, which is what you would do if you had Dwarven Forge. You would Dwarven Forge your set piece.
Oh, for sure.
Your boss battle.
Yeah, and groups that play with a lot of Dwarven Forge, there is a buy-in from the group. They know that everybody, especially the person that owns the Dwarven Forge, has spent thousands of dollars and thousands of hours painting and acquiring this terrain. And god damn it, if your DM is like set up this awesome set piece battle with their Dwarven Forge, and they spent 6 hours building Castle Ravenloft so that you could go in and explore it, and then you guys are like, I don't know, I don't know if I want to go to Castle Ravenloft tonight. Yeah. So there is sort of like, is your group more into the freedom of Theater of the Mind, or are they more into the wow factor of having this, like, 3D terrain and all of the props and the gimmicks and the fun stuff that you could do with it? So yeah, I don't know. I think it's really, really neat. I don't know where it is. I downloaded a castle like before the stream, but I don't think I saved it. So I don't actually know how any of this stuff works. I'm so sad. It's yeah, but the castle I downloaded was massive. It was actually 5 stories high, and it had the full build amount. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
I guess I would say is that if you want to have verticality in your game, go for it. Don't stress it too much, I guess, if you don't need to. But if you want to put the effort in, there's many different ways you can do it. Whether it's through a VTT or it could just be through like, honestly, if you just have 2 maps next to each other and one's the high ground and one's the low ground, I mean that's enough too if you really want to put that in your game and do it. Now, if you want to go the extra mile and do the tail spire, put the effort into that, go to get levels. Ripper even has a 3D, an actual 3D levels version for Foundry now too. So you can go crazy with that if you wanted to. Like it makes walls actually walls.
Oh,
and puts it in 3D and all that stuff.
So this is a windmill that is definitely not in a campaign that you are in. So there's no spoilers happening here at all, Dom. Don't worry about it. Let's see. It says it's opening it.
It grinds grains, not bones, right?
Yeah, exactly. It definitely doesn't grind bones.
The grain grinder.
Let's see. Would you like to import it? Yeah, I do. Give it to me. All right, board imported successfully. So where do I access my boards? Hold on. Turn-based, blah blah blah. Initiative. Go over here. Rename board. Create new board.
Is it import when you go to create?
Nah, it's been added to my library of boards. I could just never remember how to get to them. Let's see. Open my library. Pick an asset. Here's how you roll dice. Anyways, man, I don't use this program enough to like do it justice. I think it's a great program. I really do.
Yeah.
But like, I definitely don't use it enough to do any justice to this poor program. Oh, here we go. Boards. There we go. We'll go to old bone grinder. Here we go.
In the grain grinder, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Sorry, grain grinder. Well, they call it stone grinder. Actually, that's the official name. So it's gonna load up any second now. I believe it. There we go. All right. So look at this. You want to talk about verticality? They put this shit up on a hill. They got a rickety ass bridge leading up to it. Big Celasta vibes. They got a little stand out front. But look at this. They've got bridge going all the way around the exterior of this place. It's so cool. They've got the interior itself. So if we go inside, you can see that. Oh, hold on. And I believe it's like page up and page down. Yeah, there we go. So like, so cool. And then all of this also has like interior areas as well. So if we were to drag out a guy, here we go.
Yeah, I've seen it on the stream now when you zoom out. That's really nice.
Yeah. And then they walk up, and then pieces begin to move away, and then they're gonna try to get in. Oh, he's too big to fit in the door. But you can see the interior as he's moving like further and further in. Let me get a smaller person.
If I had like a IRL group.
Oh, also,
and then we had to go to digital. This would be the way to do it.
by the way, you can link your Hero Forge account now to Tailspire, and you can just build any minis you want for Tailspire in Hero Forge.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So let's see. I believe if you move up to the door, they should be able to open it. There we go. And then they move inside, and as they I don't have my mini attached or my character sheet attached to it, but yeah, there's stairs inside. You climb the stairs, it automatically takes you up to the next floor as you're climbing the stairs. It's really cool. So like, if verticality mattered more to you than a bunch of bells and whistles, this could definitely fulfill that. You know what I'm saying? Like, how fun would this be to play, like a campaign of Dungeons and Dragons that's just more casual? You know what I'm saying? Because like, this is all you have for your interface, is like, you throw the dice literally out onto the table.
You have the visuals and the dice.
Yeah, and you have your character sheet open on D&D Beyond and another window, or your iPad or something, and you are basically playing real D&D. But you have this opportunity here for total verticality, right? Because like, here I am looking through the floorboards down below. Look at that. I'm looking through the floorboards at the floor down below. Maybe I see somebody down there. Now I can target them with a spell. Maybe they see me up top, and then they can target me with a ranged attack or something. Just phenomenal. If I was, I don't know. I really like this a lot. I really enjoy it. Like, you can climb on everything, like just like Baldur's Gate 3. You know, your dude can jump. Go ahead and jump on top of stuff. Like, jump on top of this table. Jump on top of the bookshelf. Like, it's just really neat, and everything reacts to where your mini is. Here you got to climb up this ladder. I believe you'd have to hold on control. There we go. Maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested in it, but I find it to be incredibly tedious. This map that you're looking at right here, a community member spent 30 hours building this map. So like, I don't see how it could be like viable outside of a very linear like play style. Do you know what I'm saying? Or like your guy, your Cyberpunk guy, who is playing mostly Theater of the Mind within set piece stuff for you know, for the big battles or whatever.
Yep.
But I mean, another opportunity to add verticality to the game. So I just wanted to give them a shout, because that's like the closest to getting like Dwarven Forge you're gonna get online. So it's very cool. Whew.
I guess before we like close it out, I guess the big question is, we talked about verticality being beneficial for range people, but we never talked about what can we do about verticality to help, you know, other playstyles.
So I am for sure adding shove as a bonus action to my 5e games. Like, for sure. I'm going to for sure add shove as a bonus action to all of my games. Not my Pathfinder games, obviously. They got their own problems to deal with. But I feel like that should definitely be added to World Patch Doc ASAP. I'd love to add the other weapon stuff, but that doesn't really help us with the verticality thing. I think shoving would help with verticality a lot. I also think that everybody in the world, including monsters, being able to shove as a bonus action would make verticality scarier for a lot of people, right? It would make people make it scarier for people. Someone pointed out in chat, Anakin, I have the high ground, right? That's a famous thing from Star Wars, right? He had the high ground. And throughout history, that's generally considered, right? Having the high ground is a good thing to do. There is no benefit in any of the tabletop games that I know about for having the quote-unquote high ground, for being at a higher elevation than somebody else that you are in melee combat with. Maybe Pathfinder 2e people could point this out to me, that there is a rule for it, but like, from what I could tell, is if you're in melee reach of each other, it doesn't seem to matter if they're at a higher height than you. So
Like those are those things where it's like, hey, DM is always free to give circumstance bonuses out for whatever they feel they could.
right,
There's nothing raw or like there's nothing raw against it. There's nothing raw for it.
right, exactly. I definitely think DM could give advantage. I think everything gives advantage. I'm much more interested in small circumstance bonuses over advantage because I feel like most people by now, after 10 years of D&D,
Yeah.
they know how to get advantage.
I can do this to get advantage, or I can just attack recklessly, or I can just bonus action aim, or I can just
Right. Yeah. That's why I don't give advantage from flanking. Like I give a +2 bonus for flanking. I feel like having that height advantage could be useful. Something that we already do to reward height is Dragoon rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing Dragoon rules, and what is an Owlbear from the top ropes pile driver but Dragoon rules, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, in Baldur's Gate 3, if I jump off of a roof and I land on another guy, we both take damage. Dragoon rules, right? So we already have a lot of things that are rewarding it, but yeah, could there be more things that we could do to reward verticality? I think having defined rules for throwing people would be pretty fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
but it's already there though, you know? Like my monsters have been throwing you guys forever, and the bigger, stronger characters have been throwing people forever. It's the normal ass people that can't really throw anyone. You need a lot of strength to throw somebody.
Yeah.
But like I said at the beginning of the podcast, there's always been rules for throwing people. Like they're always there. Anything is an improvised. You know, a person could be an improvised weapon if you're strong enough to pick them up and throw them. But you gotta grapple them, and then you gotta spend another action to throw them.
So that's how it works in Cyberpunk. That you have to use your action to grapple somebody, and once you have them grappled, they're yours to manhandle as much as you want if you succeed on the grapple. But that's on your next turn. I guess the throwing people thing is that yes, throwing an improvised weapon, but the rules for improvised weapons is I can throw it 20 feet to 60 feet.
60 feet on a person is crazy, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's crazy. So like, I don't want to say like, hey, just use the improvised weapon rules, because then I'm gonna get a player saying, hey, can I throw this guy 60 feet at disadvantage?
No, that's fair. So I think that verticality would mean a lot more if there was throwing. I also think that verticality would matter a lot more for melee, for everybody, but for melee if there was more environmental hazards. And this is something that for the past year, I beat myself up every day. Every day, I beat myself up about the fact that I have not made a table that I could just roll on to say, you know, Crash, don't forget, here's 2 random fucking things. Make sure you add them to the map. You know?
To help you with that, in Pathfinder, they have that hazard system.
Yeah.
It's just you can draw out a hazard, and you can use those to help you make those things in your Pathfinder game. Because when I did my Dragon Pathfinder game, there was a bunch of environmental hazards out there that were just a hazard actor.
Yeah, look at all these guys. Look at all these. This would be a great place to start if you wanted to make one for 5e. Like, they've got them scaling with levels. And I believe there's 105 of these things. Yeah. 105 of them going all the way up to level 23. Armageddon Orb. A roiling red orb forged from a drop of the god Ravagug's blood. Rains fire from the sky. Oh my god. Alright. That's awesome.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a like. Honestly, I need to be. I had one so far. We had I think one encounter inside Cyberpunk where I had like a really decent environmental hazard issues, and it messed some people up. But because they weren't expecting it. But like that also having an environmental hazard which can be avoided, manipulated, or done stuff with verticality. Oh man, I'm messing up that word now. I feel like I'm messing up that word.
You're all good. Keep going.
Yeah, having those things, having the hazard that has been manipulated by that type of thing,
Hmm.
is very good. Like I think that's where it comes into place. Like not only just throwing them off, but maybe, and this has to. Oh, another thing we've been looking at is just having other objectives other than killing enemies.
Yeah.
Maybe the idea is that no, we need to get all like the enemies can't be hurt, or we can't kill the enemies, but we need to get them to this area down below. We can throw them, and maybe down below is not this area down below doesn't have a like I don't know what is it it's a featherfall field,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
need to get them all down there. So we need to get these people and throw them off this thing.
Hmm.
They're gonna try and their best or not. Like I could see like a silly encounter, like a witch-like encounter where like there's a bunch of like babies or something like that. You need to like you don't want to hurt them.
Yeah.
There's a feather ball field, but you need to get them away from danger. So you
Or
pick them up and like,
combining with levels, you've got the classic my baby, the house is on fire. You got to get the baby out, right? And
Yep.
now the baby,
Mhm.
where's the baby? Of course the baby's on the third fucking floor of the burning house. So now you
Mhm.
got levels, you're going up through this burning house, and then the DM's removing pieces of the house that are now too dangerous to go through. You're at the top of the
Mhm.
house. How are you going to get down from the top of the house? So yeah, there are lots of things that we could be doing.
and then magic destroys all of that.
Yeah, and then magic destroys all that. Yeah, 4E had a lot of environmental hazards. There was not a single fucking encounter in 4E that didn't have some environmental hazards. The Wayward Wormling adaptation I did, you can see here, you've got traps on the field. You've got pit traps on the field. You want to talk about verticality? Pit traps 10 feet down. You throw a kobold into a pit trap, he's kind of out of the fight. Do you know what I'm saying? You shove him in there, you
Mhm.
push him in there, you throw him in there. Inside the actual dungeon, you've got dudes hiding up here on the ledge, using the ledge for full cover, hiding when they running out and taking shots and then running back. We got this water hazard here that has its own initiative, and if you're in the water when its initiative comes up, it pushes you towards another pit that takes you into an underground reservoir full of
Mhm.
aboleths or some shit. So these things could be created. These things could be made. We could have these mushrooms on the walls here be like big shelves that you could kind of jump up onto or climb up onto, and now you have like verticality again. Like you're sniping from up there. I just feel like we could be doing more than we are, and that we do have the tools available to do it. And we're obviously enjoying the hell out of it in Baldur's Gate 3. So maybe it's something that, as DMs, we should be thinking about doing more of in our games.
And yeah, I feel like I should do more of it, and like part of me wants to do more of it, but then the cynic in me is like, are people going to actually like take advantage of it, or are they just going to do what's? Because I can always say like, yeah, there's these cool things you could do, but then
well,
they can also
the
just
problem.
use this feature that does it. That
Here's
fixes
the
it.
problem with over-incentivizing these things. There is a real lame way to play Baldur's Gate 3, and if you're one of those people, I'm going to call you out on it right now. The crate stacking. So people will bring a bunch of crates on their strongest character, and they will build crate towers, and then they will climb to the top of the crate towers, and then the bad guys can't get to them, and then they will fire down on the field from their crate towers. And they'll have huge range bonus, and they'll have huge accuracy bonus, and the bad guys can't get to them because they're the top of a crate tower, and only one person can fit on the top of the crate tower, and I guess the AI isn't small enough to destroy the crate tower, and so they're just up there firing down. If there is a bonus, some players will min-max for that bonus. So if there is a bonus for being up high, you will have builds that the first thing they do in every round is Dimension Door to the highest possible point, or and then fire down from on high. And that's the kind of gameplay that I personally try to discourage, right? I have players show up and they're like, I want to be an Aarakocra sharpshooter. I have a longbow and I can hit things from 800 feet away. I'm just going to fly 800 feet in the air. I'm just going to rain arrows down the battlefield. And it's like, okay, so you're like a war satellite? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're not like
You're
you're not even there. Yeah,
you're a layer action.
you're a layer action. Like that's your whole job. You're a layer action. Like, is that fun for you? Like to be a layer action, to have no skin in the game, like no investments, like no risk, like that is what you want out of the game. So there's a delicate balance there of like too much incentive, and now every fight is just climbing as high as you can, you know.
Mhm.
So it's a weird balance, I think.
And I think that's where it comes in, where like you have to think, okay, this encounter that I'm designing for my players to do right now, does it need to have verticality, and how do I want that verticality to interact with this encounter? Maybe not every single encounter needs to have it, and maybe not a lot of encounters. Maybe you make it the special encounter. Maybe it's the boss fight that has it. Maybe it's the mid-boss fight that has it. You know,
And
maybe it's not. Maybe it's that one random encounter that you have stored away that you went and took the time to prep this map to be have verticality, and then when they roll it, well, they'll get that map there.
yeah. So
And that makes it special.
we are past our time. But
Yeah.
I do want to close by pointing out everything that we talked about today, except for the pit trap. It talked about building up, but keep in mind you can always add verticality by building down. Have a map with a lot of pits. Have a map where you're on the bridge and there's a ravine full of monsters down below. How do I make that in Foundry without levels? You make the foreground map your main map, and you make the background map all the shit that's down in the pit. And you just make sure that everybody sets their height to be above the foreground layer. And now you have an encounter where, hey, we got to cross this bridge, but if you fall off the bridge, there's a pit full of like fucking undead down there. You don't want to end up down there. But maybe you do, because they can't see that there is a cave underneath the cliff that you can only access by falling down into the pit with the undead. But now you're thinking in multiple dimensions, but in a downward direction. So again, verticality, not just going up, could also be going down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think it was a good discussion. It was a good discussion. And I think what's kind of nice to hear is that really, while Baldur's Gate definitely had some cool stuff that uses the verticality, 5e doesn't really need much. I mean, give people shove as a bonus action and pretty much you're done, because there's all the other reasons are already there to climb away from danger, to get to the high ground, to take advantage of verticality. All that stuff was already baked into the rules. It's already really there. It just never really gets to come into play because we're also used to playing on a flat virtual tabletop.
I mean, we can tell it's been useful because we used it a lot in Celesta.
Oh,
Celesta is the most accurate D&D.
Absolutely. You don't need to incentivize. Well, yeah, the takeaway for me, you don't need to incentivize height in any of the games that we're playing. But if I were to incentivize it for any game, it would probably be for Pathfinder 2. I would probably provide some kind of circumstance bonus for height in Pathfinder 2, because also in Pathfinder 2, any movement besides basic bitch movement is an investment. Climbing, jumping, flying. Oh my god. Like, Stone got some item that lets him grow wings and fly. 2 Pac-Man just to grow the fucking wings. 2 Pac-Man just to grow the wings. Then he's got to use another Pac-Man to fly with the wings. And then he can't even stay in the air afterwards. He just jumping real far.
You got to keep using that fly action. Every turn.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, anyways, all right.
Will.
Listen, Celasta, they got in, they got it done, and they got out just in time.
Hey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for them. Good for them. So, I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I hope that you have some takeaways from this, that verticality, both up and down, can add a lot to your game, and that you really don't need to come up with any gimmicks to get people to do it. I think people want to climb things. I think people want to explore a double layer map or a triple layer map. So it is something that if they had the opportunity, they would probably start doing it. So just
I will
keep in
say,
mind.
don't go overboard though, because sometimes it can get confusing.
Mm-hmm.
I
Agreed.
remember I remember my apartment map.
Yes, yeah, but we were also kind of wrapping our heads around that concept too. I think once the group
Yeah.
gets used to it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope everybody has a good weekend. And then a good Friday. We're going to be playing a shitload of Baldur's Gate tomorrow. There's also Alkenstar. There's also Curse of Strahd Daybreak. There's also Mythic Odyssey. So I hope maybe we'll see some of you or all of you at something this weekend. Otherwise, have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Take care.
And...